Welcome to the Patron Saints of Pop Culture podcast. I'm Miguel Covarrubias.
And I am Kathy Covarrubias. And today, let's talk about The Mandalorian Season 1.
Thank you so much for listening to our show, and don't forget to review and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform. Today we are talking about Honor and the Old West.
How the children are our future.
Our Saints of Season.
And then, of course, we'll give you our contact info so you can go ahead and join the conversation.
So let us jump right into it and give our summary and review. A lot happened in Season 1, I think.
Yes.
And
I'll try to fill in the blanks.
All right. A Mandalorian, without name for most of the first season until the final episode, decides to go back on his contract to bounty hunt this child, which is...
well, he doesn't know it's a child yet.
Well, that's the very first episode.
Yes.
So, decides to go back on his contract of hunting down a child of an unknown species. Baby Yoda. If you've seen the memes, it's Baby Yoda. And decides that he should protect Baby Yoda instead.
All right. That's kind of like, to me, that was a summary of the first episode. Because then there was a lot that came after that.
I mean, there's a lot more in the details, but that's basically the gist of the entire show.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let me fill in the blanks. So he finds out that Baby Yoda has the Force. Well, I don't know if he knows it's the Force or not, but he has the Force. We know he has the Force. He meets a lot of friends along the way. He gets into some hijinks. He is being chased. People die. He hates robots, and then he likes robots. And that's it.
Well, just one robot.
One, yeah. He likes just one. He hates the rest. Droids, I should say.
Yes. Well, I really liked it. I thought that the Mandalorian was by far better than Solo, a Star Wars story.
Oh, yes. Yep.
It was good. It was really good. And it probably was by far better than some of the prequels. I don't absolutely hate the prequels, but it's better than those. Mm-hmm. I think the prequels are better than Solo, a Star Wars story as well, but that's, neither here nor there. I really enjoyed it. And I think that it's taking Star Wars in the direction that Rian Johnson started with The Last Jedi. By the way, if you want to go and listen to our episodes on The Last Jedi, we do have a very good conversation about that and what I think that Rian Johnson was doing with that, which I thought was just brilliant. So that is way back in season 2, I believe.
I don't know. You can search it.
Yeah, it's out there. So there's my review.
All right. I also really enjoyed it. I think I actually like it. I don't know. I think I might like it better than a lot of the movies.
All right.
I say that like out of the side of my mouth because I don't want people to get angry at me. But I think it's keeps my attention a little bit more. The storyline is a little bit different and not as, I don't want to say predictable, but it's not as predictable as some of the movies have been. And it keeps me on my toes. And hopefully we can actually find out exactly the name of Yoda's species.
I really do. Well, and this is what I'm going to talk about here, is that I do think that what Lucas was trying to do when he took on Akira Kurosawa's work, especially with some of, talking about the Ronin stories, is really kind of plagiarizing a lot of what other people were doing with Westerns. And I think this is taken back to those roots in being more of a Western style. Mm-hmm. So,
especially there's desert scenes.
Well,
and mountains.
Yep. Well, the thing is, with the Western genre has been around way longer than America.
Since movies have been a thing?
Well, since movies have been a thing, but it's not just in books and other things like that. It's been stories that people have told for a very long time. This has been...
You mean the structure of the Western?
The structure of the Western.
Yeah, not Western itself.
No, the genre Western really came to birth through the movies and through, visual storytelling. Basically, because people were in love with this idea of the Wild West, which really wasn't at all like any of those stories portray.
No, and it was actually a lot shorter than a lot of people realize. It wasn't a very long time in American history. It was pretty short.
Yeah. But, we like to romanticize things as human beings. So
definitely, yes.
But one of those things is that the Knights Errant and as well as samurai stories kind of captured this really originally. Is this lone wanderer goes out on a quest for either revenge or a quest to earn a kind of, I would say, status symbol within...
earn some honor.
Honor in society. But, we're going to get to the honor part, is that they are beholden to a code of honor from a certain point of society. The samurai, the Ronin is samurai without a master. And so those stories they were beholden to the samurai code. So it was a code of honor. Most of the Knights Errant, they were beholden to the knights' chivalry, that code of honor. In Westerns, a lot of times it's to a code of honor of their own making or of the idea of the United States of being free and being,
like, I can do what I want.
Sort of.
Yeah. Vigilante justice.
In a way, yeah. More or less that they weren't beholden to the weird laws of the city folk. So, that's kind of where Westerns kind of took off on that, was that the West was kind of the untamed, the unknown. That's where a lot of those lone wanderers would go and take on these quests of becoming the sheriff of a small town in the West and, doing so through revenge and, getting, Blackbeard. I don't know.
Blackbeard?
I'm making up a name.
Now.
Well, you could argue that pirate stories are Western stories.
That's true. Yeah, I can see that.
Because a lot of times it is a lone pirate out on a quest of revenge or on a status quest.
And you always knew who the bad guy was because he wore a black hat.
Yes, he wore a black hat. Or he was eating an apple.
Or had a scar across his face.
A scar across his face. Yeah, a lot of these tropes that came about through Western movies. So we have this instance here where they're also beholden to a code of honor. Pirates had this code of honor, where they're not going to steal from other pirates. They're going to, parlay. You saw this in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes.
Yeah. Then you have this kind of offshoot called the space Western. Now, these were often seen as the hack writers, writing these stories, we're cowboys in space with metal horses.
Well, that's basically what Star Wars is.
Yeah, Star Wars is a space Western. Star Wars and Star Trek kind of repopularized the space Western. And Lucas did a fantastic job of it. I think Roddenberry was much better at his craft than George Lucas was. I think Lucas made some very epic and iconic movies, and for that he is an icon himself.
Yeah. Well, Lucas is more of upping the game in terms of like visual stuff, and then Roddenberry was more intellectual.
Yeah, of what would humanity evolve into. There are some extra canonical, I'm calling them extra canonical Star Wars books that how the humans came to be in that galaxy far, far away and a long time ago was that humans had evolved to this point where they could use the Force in our own universe and then had to time travel back because of something, and they didn't want to interact with humans of the past, so they went to this galaxy far, far away.
Very convoluted.
Yeah.
Lots of steps involved.
That was extra canonical Star Wars fiction there, but there is that code of honor that they were kind of building on. The Jedi have a code of honor. The Mandalorians have their code of honor. The Sith have their code of honor, whether you believe that the Sith are all bad or not. But, we had that conversation way back for Rogue One. I don't even know what season we talked about Rogue One in.
I know, but that's a good one too.
Yeah, that's, you saw the code of honor there for, I can't remember what his name is. Anyway, the one guy who has that mantra that he says throughout the entire thing, that the Force is with me, I am one with the Force.
The other way around.
Yeah. You get it.
I get it, yes.
But they have this code of honor, and this is the thing that really kind of is one of the major themes is conquering the untamed with this sense of honor, is kind of bringing honor to a place that has no honor. And so I think this is very evident in The Mandalorian, that the Mandalorian is bringing this honor to bounty hunting, that he is a fantastic bounty hunter. And you saw kind of those interactions between the other Mandalorians and how they treated each other, but also how they kind of came into that, oh no, we're going to back you up because you're one of us, and this is the way. So thinking about it, and I love that where this story went with it, and I'm going to talk about that here in just a second, but I want to ask you, if you were going to kind of design your own code of honor, what would you include?
I would include representation. Maybe I need to explain a little bit about that, but like right now, something that I have been really trying to focus on in the media that I consume is representation. Making sure that I am broadening my scope in terms of what I consume media-wise, and then also what I support as well too, like money-wise. And so I think it's really important because kids need to see people like them, whether that is different skin colors or different ableness,
Or always wearing a helmet.
Yeah.
This is the way.
Yep.
So, yeah, I agree. That's why I think Miles Morales is great for our son. Our son is also Latino, and so having a Spider-Man that is Latino and black kind of really gives him that idea. Oh, they're not just the white superheroes.
Yep.
And I think that's a good instance of representation. For me, I still always, my number one rule is don't be a dick.
That's pretty much what we're trying to do with Peter.
Yeah.
Trying to raise him to not be a dick.
Yeah. And this is the way. Just don't be a dick. And this is one of the things about the Code of Mandalore. And, this is, if you go all the way back to Mandalore the Great, I know I'm kind of, nerdy about this. And
I was about to say, we're going into major nerdom right now.
One of the reasons why I know about Mandalore the Great is because my brother, Jordan, is a, cosplayer. And he's
like a really good one.
A really good cosplayer. He's made a full Mandalore the Great cosplay armor. You can actually go check that out at Textbook Cosplay on Facebook, and Textbook Ninja Cosplay. That's what it is.
Yes.
And anyway, his great suit of armor there. He has a full Mandalore the Great mask and armor, along with the staff. It's just fantastic. Go check that out. But Mandalore the Great kind of wrote this code of honor that was more true. Be true to the family. Be true to the Mandalorians. Be true to the tribe. And this was the thing that I think was captured greatly in The Mandalorian. And I think that the writers and the directors did a wonderful job of this, was that your family and your tribe may not be blood related. They may not be from the planet Mandalore. They could be just, as they called them, foundlings.
Yep. As we come to know, our Mandalorian is a foundling and not actually from Mandalore.
Exactly. So this was something that to be honored among the Mandalorians was just to abide by the code. You saw that, that whole episode where we learned this is the way. This was also a respect for yourself and a respect for kind of the others, what they were doing. If you were paid to do something, you're going to be respectful of that job. You're going to do that job no matter what it took.
Oops. Because someone didn't do that.
Well, yeah, and
Baby Yoda.
that was the big moral conundrum for him, was that do I go do this because, I know that they're not going to be doing this for good things. And all the Mandalorians backed him up on that. Because he was like, no, this is more honorable for me to take this child away from them. They're not going to be doing right by it.
Yeah, we have to protect it. Yep.
So do you believe, this is the question then, do you believe that Mando was a good person? Why or why not?
Well, I feel like this is going to be kind of like the obvious answer that everybody's going to give, but I think he was a good person because he didn't kill a kid. Pretty general, but it's true.
Well, yeah, I guess the little bit of the saving the cat moment before that was more giving part of his earnings for the foundlings.
Yeah.
But yeah, he seemed to be more concerned about children and the foundlings, and so.
Yeah. Well, and he was genuinely surprised when he saw the child. Like, wait, I'm supposed to kill this?
Yeah.
It was just.
It's a baby, even though it's 50 years old.
Yeah. Toddler? I guess it's toddler because it's walking.
Yeah.
And it seems to have some kind of intelligent thought pattern. So I'd put it more at a toddler.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, comparing it to, Peter's development.
Yes. He's not talking, but...
Yes. Peter does not have the Force, though, so maybe he's a little behind.
Yeah. I think that'll come.
You think it'll come? You
Yeah.
think maybe he's just a late bloomer,
It's in his future.
Well, Leia didn't really have much going on in terms of the Force until she was an adult.
Yeah, that's true. But children are our future, so.
They are, which is my next topic. So I know this. As I wrote this, I just laughed because I had no other way of writing the title of my segment, that children are our future. And then all I can think about is just singing the song. But it's true, in both real world and also in The Mandalorian. Now, this child, though, we know is a little bit unique. One, it seems that the majority of the people who come in contact with the child don't know what species he is. So that means that they have not, met Yoda or met some of the other people who are of Yoda species. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to talk about it when you don't know the name of the species.
I know. And, Lucas has been on record saying that they're not named.
Which is why?
I don't know.
He's like, I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
But not only is he unique in that, but he's also unique in the fact, like you said, he's 50 years old. So he's already old, but he's still obviously...
Well, by human standards.
Yeah, but he still needs help to a certain extent, He still needs to be cared for. And for some reason, when people see him, it just really brings people together. They see this, cute little being and, most everybody is we need to protect him. He is ours now,
Well, the internet now hates Jason Sudeikis for punching Baby Yoda.
Yes,
so.
how dare he? And, we see this kind of behavior in, normal life, too. People find cute animals all the time, and they're like, I need to keep it. It is mine now. I need to protect it. And then you also, too... a lot of people, when they have a baby, it's this overwhelming, flood of oh my gosh, now I have to take care of another thing. And it's just all consuming. And I feel like Mando, he might not admit to it, but he has that.
Some parental instincts.
Yes, he has. He did leave Baby Yoda by itself many times throughout the series, but hey, he's not the best. He's learning.
Yeah, you know.
Mm-hmm. And then also, too, I wanted to kind of talk about, just in general, the children in Star Wars. After the Clone Wars, the clones at this point in time are getting older. And so they don't have the technology anymore to make more clones. And so what they have to do now is basically kidnap kids to become stormtroopers, which is what we see in the movies.
Yeah, Finn is one of them.
Yep, Finn is one of them. And there's one episode where, I can't remember her name, his ex-lover, talks about how they come and they get kids to take them as well. And so it seems to me like children, especially at that time in the Star Wars universe, are like very precious. Like you don't know when they're going to be gone. And not only that, but also there's a lot of violence going on. And so you have that added as well too. And it seems like poverty is also rampant too. Mm-hmm. So there's like a lot of that going on. So that's why the children are very precious and need to be protected.
Just to clarify, you're talking about the Twi'lek from the that one episode, the season 3 or the episode 3 from the season that was the low point of the season. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep. But anyway, for some reason, this baby Yoda just brings people together and people want to protect it, just like a lot of people want to protect a lot of kids. So have you experienced a time when a child brought out like either your best self or a part of yourself that you didn't know existed?
I have to say that, I did for a long time just wanted to be a father, but I think the moment that our son was born, it blew me away. Like I was sobbing so hard that I was hurting my ribs when he was born. Like, I know that you're laughing at me, but
no, I'm just shaking my head because I was like, your ribs hurt?
Well, yeah, I know that you push the baby out of you, but
yes.
I mean, like, for me,
you were overwhelmed.
I was overwhelmed.
More than overwhelmed.
Yeah, more than overwhelmed by the feelings that I had and just the idea of trying to keep that tiny thing safe was it was hard for me. Mm-hmm. Like I had that moment where I'm just like, I can't do this. I can't be a father. What am I going to do? I can barely keep plants alive. How am I going to keep this thing alive?
To be fair, we do have a couple of plants who are older than our child within eyes.
Well, they're more your plants, so.
True, yes.
And they're easier plants.
They are, yeah. When they look droopy, I water them. That's about it. Anyway, continue.
But yeah, that was the moment.
Yeah.
Was that he brought it out in me. Was that just seeing him there and I didn't realize that I had so much dad goggles on until I look back on his like baby pictures now and I'm like, man, he does look like an old man. I didn't see that before. Mm-hmm. So.
Yep. He did look like an old man, but it's okay. He was a cute old man.
Yes. So. He was cute.
Mm-hmm. I would say that I think just in general, when I'm around kids, I do act differently than when I'm around adults. I like to get on eye level with kids, and kind of talk at them in more of a nicer but adult way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I also I think this is something that I didn't realize I was going to do as a parent, but through therapy, I realized it's really important, recognizing Peter's feelings and any kids, saying it's okay to be sad. It's okay to feel frustrated. Let's figure out how to turn things around. And that's not something that I got growing up. So I was afraid I didn't know how to do that, how to give kids the tools to have a good emotional, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I don't know. I feel like it just kind of spills out a little bit naturally, I guess.
And I think for
Daniel
both of
Tiger
us,
helps.
yeah, Daniel Tiger helps. But for both of us being middle children, it was difficult because our parents were already exhausted from the first one, in my case, or two in yours.
Mm-hmm.
That, it's a little bit harder to give, those kids down the line the same emotional attention that, the original ones got.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. And then also, just to kind of move on to my topic here.
Sorry.
It's okay. I got you there. It's
Yeah.
all right. So I was really thinking while I was writing this about what happens to children during war times. And there's a lot of parallels between the Star Wars universe and our like real life universe in terms of what kids go through.
Mm-hmm.
For one, kids in the Star Wars universe that we hear, they're taken away and they're being trained to fight. And you hear about children fighters a lot, unfortunately. People, well, especially the bad guys, will go out and kidnap children and put guns in their hand and teach them how to fight.
Oh, yeah.
And they will purposely put them out on the front lines as like a shield because they know that normal humans are reluctant to kill a child, And that just, whenever I think about that,
yeah, it's not, those aren't good situations. And in this one, in the Star Wars universe where, all of the Jedi younglings were killed by Anakin Skywalker. That's, I still don't see any redemption for him, even though, oh yeah, he threw the Emperor over the side of the thing there because he went after his son. Well, yeah, but you also killed a bunch of Jedi children.
Yeah, yep. And that too, my next point, children become victims of violence. If they're not thrown into the fighter situation, then they are victims of violence. And that can be either, being caught up in fights or being thrown into cages or any other type of violence that you can think of.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, again, in both Star Wars and in real life. And then also, too, I was looking it up, and birth rates actually drop during wartime, probably because people are too busy to, make the children.
Mm-hmm.
But birth rates drop during wartime. And so when that happens, when you see a child, it's a little bit more like you feel a little bit more of a connection to try to save that child because there's not as many around.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Mm-hmm. What is so different between the Mandalorians training kids and then real life war factions training kids?
I think there was that major difference that the foundlings were more teaching them to care for themselves, teaching them skills and survival tactics, where they, would go off and become bounty hunters or what have you, and mostly mercenaries because, that's what Mandalorians did to try to earn their own planet's material back.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you know the history of Mandalore, that it is they had a metal which was resistant to blaster fire. You see this in the show.
That's why their armor is so coveted. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is one thing that you saw that Mando was a foundling, that he didn't have to become a bounty hunter, but he did because he was looking for a way to earn his Beskar armor.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's part of his thing was the quest originally, and the quest changed to be more of protect the child.
Yeah. Well, and I also like to point out too, in real life, those children are put on are taught to fight immediately, and they're sent into war.
Yeah.
Where I feel like even though the stormtroopers, they don't send the kids out, they still wait until they're adults, which I know I'm talking praise against for the dark side, which is kind of weird, but but still, at least they didn't have the kids, fighting.
Yeah.
So I guess that's good.
Well, and I think it's more what the Mandalorians did was not a brainwashing. It was more, we're going to teach you.
Yeah, we're going to adopt you like into our family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're going to try to get you to the places that you were from so that you can be raised by those societies rather than us. But, if you don't have those anymore, you're one of us.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, it's more of like an adoption situation.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
A foster to adoption.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And then also, too, we kind of see this a lot in TV and movies. For example, like The Walking Dead is one of those, shows, and also in the video games where a baby or a child is like really important and you must protect it. And you are just like the most evil of evil if you kill a child, and pretty much any other like apocalyptic show or TV. Can you think of any other ones besides The Walking Dead?
Ooh, you took The Walking Dead, so that's.
I know. I did it on purpose.
Think harder now. Well, there was that one episode or one season of Supernatural. That's before we stopped watching it. About the baby that was coming in, the Nephilim.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that the whole conundrum: should we kill the Nephilim or not? And I watched the first 2 episodes of the next season, and it just was dark, so I couldn't get into it, and it was like, I don't want to watch this right now. So. But yeah, Supernatural did that.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Oh, Handmaid's Tale. That one, children, for whatever reason, the birth rate is like really low. For some reason, people can't have kids.
Yeah.
And so like children become very coveted and we must like save the children.
Yeah. Well, and this is, I think the whole idea behind the anti-choice movement thing is that, we've got to save our procreation thing, which is, I understand that, but it's also more of, we can't just have kids for no reason and like not care for them after they're born.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just insane.
Yeah. It's like, why are you, for me, I feel like, why are you fighting for their existence if you don't care once they're outside of the womb?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, anyway, let's not go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's not a rabbit hole we should go down. Let's move on to our saints in that case. For me, and I'm going to try hard not to call him Kyle, but even though his name is Coyle?
Sure.
Pig Nolte. We'll just call him Pig Nolte.
Yes. The guy who's on the things that are kind of like cows, but they're not cows because you ride them.
Yes. And if you've ever played any of the Star Wars MMORPGs, you know that they are a pain. I really thought that his own code of honor was a good one. It was more of a, it doesn't matter where things came from. It doesn't matter what the past was. Things can always be better in the future. They can make better choices in their future. And just, I think that in itself was a miracle. That was a way for him to gain his sainthood. And then being martyred on behalf of the child, I think was his second miracle in his martyrdom.
Now I'm really sad because that was such a sad scene.
I know. And then Jason Sudeikis picking up Baby Yoda. Yeah.
I'm mad.
Yeah.
I actually have a tear like forming at the corner of my eyeballs.
See, I picked a good saint.
Are you done? My saint now?
I am. Yeah.
Okay. My saint, I'm going to pick IG-11, which is the robot or the droid. He is my saint because he just shows that people can turn around. Sure, he was programmed to be a nurse instead of being, a killer. But, with the right deprogramming,
Yep.
Anybody can turn a new leaf and be a better person. So there you go, right?
Yeah. And,
I feel pretty clever about this.
just in case you're in a cult, you can be deprogrammed and be better.
Yes. There's programs out there for you to be unprogrammed.
Yes.
Deprogrammed.
Deprogrammed. And be programmed to be a nurse?
Sure. I mean, you can be that once you're out of a cult. You can be a nurse.
Sure.
Yeah. Whatever you want to be.
Whatever you want to be. Let us know who your saint of the season was. I know that there was a lot more to the Mandalorian season 1 that we didn't talk about, but, let us know if you wanted to talk about something else, particularly what you wanted us to talk about and what themes that you may have caught in the season 1 of Mandalorian. Also, I kind of got an idea for season 2 of The Mandalorian, of where they're possibly going to go. Which I think the reason why the Werner Herzog's character wanted Baby Yoda was because they were trying to build a new clone army and clone army of Yodas who are all Force sensitive, so that they could have like an army of Sith.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, but that's a theory.
That is a theory, and probably is not the right theory, but it is a theory.
You have no idea. I mean, Moff Gideon could be working for the clone Palpatine, which we saw in episode 9.
Sure.
Last Skywalker or Rise of Skywalker. That's what it was.
Yep. All right. So
Last
maybe
Skywalker.
I should go ahead and give people our contact info. Yes. So you can go ahead and reach us at Facebook and Instagram at Patron Saints of Pop Culture. And then we also have a website, patronsaintsofpopculture.org.
Yeah. So thank you so much for listening. And don't forget to review and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform. So with all of that being said, we invite you to come and join the conversation.
Bye.